It's a nice autumn day here at the Vidnight Society. I am Kevin James, joined with my friend Neil Ciceriga. We are Guaranteed Video, or some of Guaranteed Video. Neil, we're going to be talking about Stand by R.E.M. Came out in 1989. Mm-hmm. This was your choice. Why do you want to watch this music video?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Weird Al song Spam, which is a parody. It's one of his lesser parodies, to be honest. But that is actually how I knew this song originally. So I checked out the video one night, and what struck me about it was the sense of familiarity, the sense of nostalgia. It reminded me so much of The Adventures of Pete and Pete, a show we grew up with that was really formative, really well regarded.
That magic hour nostalgia.
Yeah.
Verge of autumn.
It's always autumn on that show. That's why we've lit this this episode the way we have.
We do theme lighting.
Mm-hmm. So my thinking was this, that the creators of Pete and Pete were probably R.E.M. fans because they had Michael Stipe do a cameo once, and they probably just kind of yoinked the look of their show from this video. But no, when I did a little research, I found out the director of this music video directed most of Pete and Pete and basically co-created the show. So
Katherine Dieckmann?
Katherine Dieckmann. And she also went on to direct, Shiny Happy People by R.E.M. and some indie movies and stuff, and she's done pretty well for herself.
She is now an educator at Columbia University.
Nice.
Which is the school that kicked the Ghostbusters out.
Well, they had to make room for her. So anyway, about this music video.
You rolled with that a little too well. So
Yeah.
It was funny. I shouldn't have interrupted you.
It's part of a subgenre of, they have one set piece and the rest is all kind of filler. That's B-roll. They just went out, they shot stuff that looked kind of interesting. It's the kind of stuff that we all did when we got our hands on a camera.
Sure.
And we just wanted to test it out.
And Dieckmann was sort of inexperienced as a director.
Oh yeah, she had been a music journalist, and that's how she got the link with R.E.M. And they asked her, hey, do you want to shoot this video? So it was her first time behind the camera. It has that feeling of someone messing around with the format a little bit.
The shots and the visuals at first seem a bit non sequitur, which is kind of a reflection of the song itself.
Yeah.
The song is, admitted by the band, kind of nonsense. Like a lot of R.E.M. lyrics are just like, oh, here's something that's nice to hear, or fun to hear.
It's openly their attempt at writing a bubblegum pop song that's just designed to get caught in your ear, and don't worry about the lyrics too much.
Sure.
Conceptually, the music video is 4 people, and the people change depending on what part of the song you're in, but there's 4 dancers standing on these compasses, and they're doing these goofy kind of 1960s dances, and they're jumping 90-degree angles, kind of like the Macarena. And there's like big rear projections behind them. Yeah. It really does look like a sequence from Pete and Pete.
There are only a few shots of the actual band members from R.E.M. in the video.
Yeah, they show up a little bit in the B-roll.
Yeah, when they're jumping, all 4 of them, and it cuts between the 4 of them. They're like jumping off a trampoline off camera, I think.
One of the things I want to do, just as an excuse to show clips from this, is I want to read a list of all the different shots in the music video.
Okay.
Of all the things that were captured. It's not a comprehensive list, but this music video includes a spinning toy globe, a kid balancing on a board, a paved road, a child using a Viewmaster, a drafting compass, a bicycle with a pinwheel, band members jumping in autumn, an old woman feeding Muscovy ducks. I looked up the breed of duck because it's
you're talking like bulletin points on the back of a box, like if this music video came on a VHS tape. Like, oh, it's got all this good stuff.
I'm not halfway through, so hang on. It's got gardening, it's got a light bulb, a toy xylophone, a typewriter, an old woman trying to untie a stack of newspapers. It's got a leaf flattened in an atlas, utility poles, a rocking chair, a kid listening to a mooing cow noisemaker, an actual cow, a dirt road, a kid running over a small bridge, a screw being driven into wood, a kid drawing with chalk, some nice neighbors waving at the camera, and the band members standing in autumn.
The dance they do on the compass, those like 4 actors.
This is the actual set piece of the video.
Yeah, with the rear projections, like it's such a non sequitur, right? I mean, I get it evokes the emotions of thinking of home and heritage and where you came from, but even the guys in R.E.M. have admitted the song means nothing.
But they've talked about how they wrote the song as kind of a, let's do something in the 60s bubblegum pop style.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely catchy song. It's stuck in my head right now. R.E.M. spent the entire 80s waiting for the 90s to happen. That's the best way to sum them up, right?
Yes. Everyone's having a good time, but there's this melancholic undertone.
But yeah, it is that kind of lost childhood feeling to it.
Which I think It's the End of the World as We Know It, which was more overt with that sadness.
It's a better video, to be honest.
Oh, sure, but this one's fun to talk about.
It is.
And looking at her work on Pete and Pete, she's sort of a good analogy to draw would be John Swartzwelder on The Simpsons. John Swartzwelder did not showrun or create The Simpsons. That's Matt Groening. But he wrote so many episodes. He holds the record for most episodes written for The Simpsons by a single writer. And she carried that torch for Pete and Pete. She really set the flavor and the tone of that show, particularly early on.
Pete and Pete started off as interstitial bumpers on Nickelodeon.
And she was hired to do those.
Exactly, yeah.
But it became a show because these shorts that she was directing were so well received. And I remember being excited to see the shorts during the commercial breaks back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And they preceded what became the Pete and Pete sitcom, the one camera drama.
Yeah.
Drama comedy, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's not a drama.
It's a kind of a drama. Well, when you're a kid, that show is more dramatic than you're expecting. It's like your introduction to a lot of emotions.
Yeah, they really put a lot of heart into that show, and this video clearly is. So you can trace it all back to this video.
Yeah, that's R.E.M's whole jam. Is they were, like they were a very progressive, poetic band, especially for the '80s. It was kind of unheard of. Yeah, those kind of just shooting the shit type of music videos were something that you could get away with producing on MTV. They weren't necessarily high concept or provocative.
They weren't selling sex appeal or like much of an attitude.
Exactly, yeah. This was counter-programming to hair metal.
This is just so innocent, so PG.
Yeah.
That it's wonderfully saccharine.
It really is, and they're just doing their goofy dance, and you can just feel like Artie the Strongest Man is going to jump out at any minute.
Yeah.
Oh, one cute thing I do want to talk about is, I was trying to figure out the dance in this music video. Were they expecting people to do this dance? Were they expecting it to catch on? Like, oh, you want to do the stand?
You see it quite a few times in like an isometric, high-angle view. You can really read how the dance works. It's almost an instructional.
So I was looking up videos trying to find, like, are there videos of people doing this dance? And what I found was a 1989 like home video of a bunch of school kids like out in the yard with teachers and stuff, and I guess this was their PE class was, we're all gonna do the stand dance.
Nice.
Probably the closest we got to the stand dance catching on.
We're taking something for granted here, you and me.
Yeah.
We were born in the mid to late 80s, 87, 86.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Pete and Pete, make time today and watch some Pete and Pete.
Yes. It's one of the things from our generation that we loved, and then you grow up and you realize, like, oh, phew, it's actually good. Okay, good. Like, yeah.
You go back and revisit like Transformers and things like that, and like, oh no, this is like hot garbage.
I can't show this to my kids.
Yeah, but Pete and Pete goes beyond just the rose-tinted glasses of, oh, I grew up with this and it's wonderful. There's wonderful, creative, just luminaries on that show. Like you had people like Buster Poindexter showed up on it, Michael Stipe from R.E.M, of course, Janine Garofalo, Steve Buscemi, and the show is so good that our love of it rubbed off into us wanting to talk about Stand. So
yeah, this is a backdoor Pete and Pete episode, I guess.
Watch Pete and Pete if you get the time. It's a wonderful show, and its aesthetic is wonderfully bottled. Every episode is filled with it. Leaves abound and redheaded kids talking about the wonderful, mysterious world of Wrigleyville. But it looks like our key light is dimming because the battery is getting low.
Oh, you know what that means. It's time for us to go to bed. All right, we'll see you guys next time on Vidnight Society.
It is dimming, right?
I think so.
I think it's dimming.
That's funny.